single time on stream, Danny. But I do think you're right in the sense that this is a very exciting one because this is basically do or die for both teams. The winner gets themselves into a very good position, whereas the loser, less so.
Well, less so. The Germans being represented by Totalschaden, former rival quality team, potentially coming up to the ranks as 2/3 of the Stormtroopers roster in JorJaJo. It is JorJaJo rounding off in that third, representing the rest of your best of 5. It is the match 2, and so far we already see apparently Jack moving in field. Unfortunately, the passive play not quite working out, but decently cut out by Joessi.
And I think if we're going to talk about people to look at on this pitch, it's definitely going to be apparently Jack really carrying a lot of weight on his shoulder in the Fusion tournament, especially against with that Monster or Dead as well, in that 2v2 and 1v1 respectively, doing a lot of work. But can he translate it into threes as well? We've seen it. All right, that is a great save to showcase it once more.
Showcasing some skills, but it is a different beast altogether. And Tiguri onto the ball. JorJaJo just getting slightly clattered by Round, but Jack's there for the time being. Per bounds, anybody into the middle, Polar not going for it. JorJaJo elects forward, and suddenly a bit of pressure asserted on the right hand side of the German flank, and it's Tiguri down in the heart in the middle. Pass surely fakes a pass, and unfortunately the ones player does not bite.
But that pass, Danny, is exactly how I love to see Totalschaden play. Whenever they pull these passing plays out, I think out of all the teams that are currently in this league, they are the team that just loves their passes more than anyone else, and it creates a lot of opportunities. But of course it does require 2 players, so it can catch you off guard on the transition. And if there's a team that will be good at transitioning, I do think it is this JorJaJo squad.
Effectively so far in the game, one half of it basically gone. So just having a really horrible offensive attacking play as Jack wallops it downfield. Tiguri will kindly take control for the time being. Polar slow off the mark here. JorJaJo basically gifting possession over the Germans, knocking on the Englishman's front door. Well, how many times have we seen that one before?
I'm not going to answer that question, Danny, that's for sure, but it does seem like this game especially seems to be going into the Germans' favor. They are creating these opportunities, but it's not really netting any really dangerous chances yet. They're getting the ball into the opponent's half, but after that it is just a mess of anyone's ball and anyone's game, and this is just showcasing that. A really weird 50 this time going into Polar's favor. Once again, a shot not too great, but a shot nonetheless.
Thankfully the English fans won't be reminiscing over penalties against the Germans. They would lose instantly, but it will be Jack trying to push us down. It's Tiguri into the middle. Anybody going to follow? JorJaJo on the goal here in game 2, and it's bang bang.
You were talking about football, German football team, in fact very well known for scoring on the counter-attack, and that is exactly what JorJaJo have done here. They haven't had the pressure, they haven't had the best of plays, but they have gotten the first goal, which arguably is just much more important than all the other factors.
1-0 factor could be immediately wiped off the mark, and Domain, well, how many times have we seen that familiar feat? What a pace, 1 minute 23 remaining.
And this is already shaping up to be a really good one, Danny. I think we beforehand had it as a very close series. I don't know if you have one of the 2 teams in mind which you think will clinch it out in the end, but I really wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games that goes all the way to game 5, just like we saw the previous one do. Those 2 teams just seem so close to each other in terms of skill.
Skill and ability, but it would be aligned here if they did not fancy one, and would be extremely biased in 3-0 to apparently the Stormtroopers 2 members, but set that aside, it is Domain Tame onto the ball. And what? Oh, that is orgasmic!
JorJaJo is just perfect position, perfect time, just able to drive forward and pop it on top, almost a dunk right there from the last defender. He couldn't touch that ball, and that one did slip in, and JorJaJo, as quick as they got the first goal, back with the second against Totalschaden. 2-1 now, and they do seem to be more in control of this game now.
Not for the time being, a quick little counter-attacking play. Oh, there was one orgasmic proportion on the other side. It's been equally counter-attacked on the other two APs. Can they give it a rest for a moment?
That is gorgeous. That takes so much coordination to get all of these passes perfectly on point. With Totalschaden managing to do exactly that, and I'm very glad you called that play orgasmic too, because if you weren't gonna do it, I was gonna do it. Arguably even better than JorJaJo's shot. I love me the team plays, Danny.
Team plays one thing, but the defense abysmal. They should have done better. They have to do better if they want to beat the German side. There's a domain across, a quick little stubble, bumped away, any support down the line. It's Gregfo. Oh, unfortunately, domain lacking the boost. Tigri tickles the ball into the middle. Gregfo, another quick little pop, and unfortunately, the English holds a defensive line for the time being. Down line, and no pressure exerted. OT, 2 goals apiece. Can't be separated in 5 minutes. Here we go again.
He said this could be a close one, and it's looking like exactly that. Get overtime in this game, anyone's game, and it's funny with the Totalschaden squad. They seem to be having a sort of issue with one of the players. Dumain wasn't moving there. I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, more than likely, if it's fair play, they'll restart it. I'm biased, of course, so I hope they don't, but it'll be interesting to see on the rulebook how it goes. Apparently he's getting alt-tab. If that is the case, anybody in the community doing it, you are named in shame. That is disgraceful, the fact that anybody in the tournament, but he should be, based on Do Not Disturb or offline. With that said, however, we wait judgment on how the admins are going to call that. But we've seen, basically, a very even match for 5 minutes there, Joessi. But I'm not saying here, JorJaJo was quiet for the most part in one player in particular, and that's Polar.
I would have to agree. I think overall, I really fancied Totalschaden, especially with the sort of goals that they were getting. With JorJaJo, it kind of felt like it was a coin flip, and it ended on heads, which is what they wanted every single time, whereas Totalschaden really making their own favor in this first match, getting that lovely orgasmic passing play between the three of them. That is how I think you win these type of series, and so far JorJaJo just not showing that same level of creativity and just all around plays from their own side.
How their players might be, but credit where it's due as well to apparently Jack. He did stop 2 potentially critical goals that could have been scored against and would have dictated the game otherwise quite early. But they cannot rely on Jack for any length of time, and I don't mean that any disrespect to him, but they have to rely more on the team aspect, where the German side will outplay them in that regards.
Oh, for sure. But then again, I think this German squad outplays about 99% of Rocket League community, but also the players in this league in terms of team play. I think the way that they link up, especially Dumain and Nakflow, having played together for so long already, just seem to be finding each other in every single occasion. And when a lot of players will be going for shots, especially like what we saw in the previous series with Supermo, they'll just be going for shot after shot and try and drain your opponents like that. This Totalschaden squad instead opts to go for the unexpected pass and open up part of the goal like that, which is lovely to see in my opinion.
Well, we might be saying it was Domain who had a connection issue. It might, and apparently seems to be sorted, and it is the Jor side 1-0 up in the series. Game 2 will recommence 5 minutes. Hopefully no more issues. It would be a shame if this had sort of an asterisk around it. It will be Polar dropping back and learn the youngest member probably in the Superstar League having an attempt here, and he's bumping the Germans on the front line again.
Yeah, JorJaJo seems to be playing a lot of field, which I really like because you have this player in the player DJ, which is so good in defense. He can do 1v1s, 2v1s, possibly even a 3v1s, even if the passes are coming in. And with Boyo, he got, or JorJaJo, it's the name, he's got both of them in there. But with him upfield, they're creating a lot of opportunities. The first opportunity of this game, for Totalschaden, though, 2 misses and Domain finishing it off.
Well, in a typical Boyoroyo defense, leave it wide open, but sadly in his case, JorJaJo and Polar having a diner date up the top post. 4:20 left on the clock and Totalschaden leads 1-0.
I would be careful. He's joining you in the booth after this one, so do not speak too ill of the boy. And oh my, you were talking Polar hasn't shown up. Well, Danny, here he is.
He hasn't shown up just yet. It's only 1 goal. You know me well, Joessi enough. I'm hard to please. And it's not even going to get him a point on the series win either. It's a quick response, though. The third kickoff already against the Germans. And where is Polar to defend this? Not here. Jack misses. JorJaJo has to block Polar. Just sitting there, dangled like a fishing rod. And unfortunately, Totalschaden pulled up a trout.
Yeah, you're right in not giving Polar any points yet, right there, Domain. Very smart on the slow shot, though. If he'd taken a regular shot, that wouldn't have gone in. But this did take all the defenders off guard, and finally a lead for Totalschaden right here. They've been chasing JorJaJo so far, but now they're in control, and we're gonna have to see what they manage to do with it.
Apparently, Jack, quick down, Polar. Leaves that one for JorJaJo, but more likely it was a whip out. It was the comms, and JorJaJo brings it tight to the wall. Anybody from the JorJaJo side willing to attack seems to be no, as they've been kicked back and push. Polar just surfing on the backboard, but yet to touch the ball significantly away from the defensive duties required. You have a second bite of this one, no booze, and it's straight over to Domain.
One thing that I'm very interested about, and maybe you know more about this, is why hasn't JorJaJo opted to bring Dead onto the roster yet? Because you are allowed one change of players during the league play, so I'd be really interested to see the full Stormtroopers roster here, because with Dead and Jack and whoever the third is, Polar.
How dare you forget Polar?
I mean, I'm daring because he hasn't showed us anything yet this game, so maybe he should be the one leaving instead of JorJaJo.
Well, Joessi, clearly a mastermind and technical decisions there. Maybe a show match potentially on the rocket could be made up there, but Dead Monster played in the Italian league, I believe it was NLE at the time, so that's why they could not bring known as the Dead straight across here. But half the game gone, and so far we have seen the Germans regain the lead and extend it by 2.
Tigra making sure that that one goes in. It's not the passing plays that we expect from Totalschaden. Instead, it's just the pressure right now coming out. Second goal was from the backboard, and this one goes in because Tigra just has an open shot. No one to contest that. Not quite sure where the communication was there on the JorJaJo side, but right now Totalschaden just kind of walking away with this game, Danny.
Likely I would claim to agree with you, but hopefully we'll see a bit of life kicking. A consolation goal could be applied by this English roster, and here comes Polar. Maybe to set up stall, he bumps there. Jack to send it back in the middle, and finally they've done some successful good, the 2/3 of the Stormtroopers.
A bump right there from Polar is what really opened up, and one blue car just flying around your screen going into nowhere. It didn't really help the Totalschaden defense either. But JorJaJo bringing themselves back into this game. Possibly more to come. JorJaJo trying to put it out for himself, but a lot of bumps right now coming out from both sides.
Physicality has increased, but the passing players has been unrelenting. And frankly, JorJaJo's defense is just diabolical.
But to be fair, you say their defense is diabolical, but this is the offense. This is the positioning from Domain all the way on the other side of the pitch. just ready for that pass. You know it's going to come. And then it makes it so that Jack has a very hard save, and then you just finish it off with the third man. So I think this was more Totalschaden doing really well than it was JorJaJo's defense. I mean, Jack did with his save.
And they could have done better and pushed it to the side. And frankly, Joessi, they cannot let simple goals be scored against them, as the German side with Ganangflo could be extending 5 goals to 2. And that pass and play non-connected, and JorJaJo boots it down long.
All right, now, game kind of died down a little bit, I feel like, with that 4th goal coming in from Totalschaden. JorJaJo, all right, now they do get one back, or they should at least. Yes, Polar does find it right there. Polar really getting clutch with all these demos and bumps.
So far, the only real success he's been having is position somewhat adequate. Would like to see a little bit more, as we keep pointing out. Under a minute left, a comeback could be achievable. Kickoff number 8, heavy on to, of course, the JorJaJo side. Tigre per touch really, but works over to domain, and it's Polar high up, so it should be into the wall and boot down long by JorJaJo, and it will not get a second touch as it's 50s into the middle. Polar needs to defend this one well.
He does so decently, but just good defending right now isn't enough. They need a goal too. Creating decent opportunities, but not good enough so far in that 50. But apparently Jack just sends it all the way back to their side of the field. Not what he'd been looking for right there. But overall, I feel like Totalschaden is just right there where they need to be, Danny.
You would expect it from rival quality players. They deserve their blue title. They deserve the experience they've got. Been in the bubble scene for a very long time. But there's a couple of seconds left, so do not discount. Here comes Polar. Jack to follow through, second touch here, any guidance would be happily assisted, but so far Totalschaden shown that experience there, ties the series 1 apiece.
But what a close games we've had so far. Game 1 going to overtime. This game 2 just clutched that for Totalschaden, but only 1 goal separating the 2 teams. I felt like a lot more offensive chances for Totalschaden, but the transition from defense to offense from JorJaJo is also strong. Polar, after game 1, you were wondering where he was, and I think he really redeemed himself. A couple of clutch bumps and demos, gifting at least 2 goals to JorJaJo. It wasn't enough to take this game, but he's definitely back in the series.
Well, you could say that, Joessi.
What do you want to say, Danny?
Well, what I want to see and say is Polar to put 4 goals in, 20 saves, and he's been outright fabulous. To me, he's been quiet, usually dictates the game, and frankly, right now, I haven't seen the Polar that I know well, love, and respect, but game 3 approaching now.
A time for Polar to impress Danny, the impossible task, I would say, even more impossible than reverse sweeping quality control, but obviously we saw that in the first series of tonight as well, so anything is possible today, it feels like. And JorJaJo almost getting an impossible dribble to get it past everyone, and that's a great fake by Domain, gets one, almost the second. Good challenge though, right there from JorJaJo, even better shot, almost finding the goal.
JorJaJo is a little wonder. He is fabulous in the mechanics, and when he is firing all cylinders, keeper's worst nightmare, but it's Domain Polar. It has been won by the English side, and it will be blocked. He's beaten 2 here. Jack now to cover in. JorJaJo into the middle. No 50, so Polar. And they'll drop all the way back, and it'll be JorJaJo, but the Germans, nice 1-2. Sadly, the return not on point, and JorJaJo lobs it downfield, but follows it and tries to get a 50. Jack drops it down, pass a little bit too heavy, and Polar pokes it to the corner once again, and suddenly that opening minute, both sides had chances, and oh my word, what is going on?
I don't know, I think they were going for a pinch, but it did not go as planned, and even almost costing them a goal as well right there. Totalschaden, not what they were looking for. We praise them for the passing, but it's not been great. In a demo from Polar once again. Oh, and well done from JorJaJo now as well. doesn't result into a goal immediately, but you got to feel the pressure if you're a player from Totalschaden right now. You cannot ever sit still. You cannot just wait patiently for the attack to come, because you will get demoed.
Potentially. But the Germans, nonetheless, in Totalschaden has dealt with it, as apparently Jack feeling a little bit pressured this time in his own final third domain. Into the middle, it will be off the sidewall. Polar hooks it again further away. No second man or follow-through player from JorJaJo. They are chasing thin air at this point. Here comes Polar. No dunk going to be appeared as a simple clearance and transition. 1, 2, 3. Back over to Tigre. Half the game remaining, and JorJaJo again in the defensive struggle.
But please, everyone, pay attention to the positioning. Oh, or that demo. You can pay attention to that demo too. Jack realizing that the goal was open for Polar to take the shot. They wanted to fake out Tigre there, got the demo instead, opening up the goal. And it is the lead right here for JorJaJo in game 3.
Can they establish at least a second goal? Will they try to defend him? It would be very foolish to try to defend with half the game left, as Tigre on the march attacking. Left-hand side of JorJaJo, it will be Polar, but he's in the middle, and Tigre, quick time turn there, and frankly will have a flip reset chance. Went from the ceiling shot, however, went middle, and Polar launches the game down over to apparently Jack. There is a bit of connection, something in the atmosphere there, a few oohs and ahs, but unfortunately the dropped the ball. 2 minutes, the Germans on the attack now.
Was the bit of magic right there from Jack in the flip reset. It didn't work out for him in that instance, but a great try nonetheless. Passes from the Germans right now, we're talking about them a lot, but they're not connecting as well. Almost a fake from Tigre, but great read right there from Polar. The follow-up not as great as he gets completely faked out by Dumain. But overall, I feel like JorJaJo are playing decent, but will it be enough in this game? A demo now from Dumain, trying the same tactic on the other side. Nakflo with the double touch, ball just lingers in front of the net, but it does not go in yet.
Different opinions here in the commentary booth between decent and struggling. They have yet to really get out of the defence. Here comes Gravgrove, gets a shot here. You said they were playing decent. Frankly, nowhere close.
But that Dumain, that pass and neck flow is so hard to read. Gonna give them a little bit of slack right there. Could have cut them some slack, because whenever an opponent is driving from your side, you just cannot see them. You have to hear them. You have to know they're there. And right there, they didn't. Got the goal for Totalschaden once again with a beautiful pass.
Potentially 60 seconds. JorJaJo has the attack, has to get the goal back to put the former rival team into some quashing difficulties. And so far, Tigre is making them worm in the defence. You can see the sweat dripping from their brows at this point. Skanagfo passes again. They are toying with the English side here. Jack on a load. Where does the support Polar over to Joey? He can't get the stretching touch towards it. 30 seconds now when Polar goes to Jack here. Has to get control. And again, they've launched him down wide.
Oh, but the passes, I can't get over how good they are. And it's all due to their positioning. If you pay attention, every single ball, there's one person on the side of the ball, and then there will always be a player who's on the complete opposite side of the pitch, making sure that he is there for the passes to come in. And that's why this Totalschaden squad's just so good at finding each other. They all are willing to wait for the pass to come in as well. And we're going to have to wait to see who takes this game, because we do go into the overtime. And a good kickoff by Jack may create the first opportunity right there for JorJaJo. Great shot. Not really from Polar, but the pass was decent. Not good enough follow-up though so far.
There's Yoyo again, trying to play into the grain. In fact, the Polar driving a bit backwards, a pass in field, so likelihood it will be returning to Polar. Joyo finding the 50, shots on target, tip wide it goes here, and apparently Jack has an options. That's a passing play, and Polar shooting accuracy lacking from the former Renegade Cup elite. Joyo, can he show it is? Yes he can. Top right it goes, and the English side leads 2-1.
But these bumps though do main jumps for the same ball as Tigre, and then on his landing getting bumped by Polar. His shooting may not be good, but he can still hit the cars, and that is a skill in itself as well. Some might disagree with it being a skill, but I would say it's definitely one. Very good right here from JorJaJo in the sense that they end up getting away with the win. It isn't the most convincing one, but they do find these bump plays and these demo plays, and it's really opening up the Totalschaden squad. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we see the third win coming up from JorJaJo, unless the passing really becomes even better from Totalschaden.
You could say the passing play could get better, or the defense completely crumbles. We've seen JorJaJo for the majority of that game, though, Joessi, struggling to get out. You can see 8 shots being put against them, probably even more at that point too. Yet they did not have a clean exit for the majority of it. That's the difference between Bubble and Rival, though.
I agree. The accuracy and the consistency is definitely something that really separates the greats from the goods in Rocket League, I believe. And JorJaJo right now is showing good but not great yet. But the same can be said for Totalschaden, and they're showing up, and I think they've had some decent chances. They've had good chances, but it's not been enough yet. And I hope they can get this game so we can see a game 5, so we can see these teams face off in that instance. But Totalschaden, I'm a bit scared for them in game 5s.
Potentially scared. Get to be a coach or a manager for either sides, and by the looks of it, Domain is having internet issues of some description as well. A server recreation is being, of course, made just to give a bit of chance for Domain to sort that issues. I wouldn't say Domain would be the type to say that could play a factor in, of course, the series, but if you can't trust your equipment there, that's going to play some psychological factor, surely.
I mean, we've all had the cable that's starting to die, right? And you want to play the same as you normally do, but then you sit completely still because you know if you move one muscle too many, you'll hear that infamous sound and your controller disconnects. I think it's the same in these types of scenarios. You want to not let it affect you, but it will, even if it's just subconsciously.
Well, subconscious or not, it is, of course, something that has affected the series throughout, so more than likely it'll probably be a 2-3 minutes for that to be adjusted. So, with that said and done, don't forget the sponsor for this wonderful cup itself, the Star League approaching week 4, week 5. Of course, next week, some decent matches there. Of course, we're going to probably argue on Twitter which one's the match of the day. But huge to see nice characters supporting the grassroots stuff here, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Wednesdays and Sundays for the Open Cups. And we did see, of course, a few of the members of Quality Control win that final 4-2 in the series, so it was interesting of that. But JorJaJo in this series here, I'm going to ask you maybe a pointing question. You can dodge it if you want. Are they going to win it?
I want them to, Daddy. I want them to so bad. We saw them last week in the Nice Cactus Weekly on Wednesday as well, in which they faced off against Vent Gaming. And if you haven't watched that, watch it before I say anything else. It's possibly the closest series ever in terms of something not being a goal. But you'll know what I'm talking about if you watch that series. That was an absolute blast. And this Totalschaden squad, I feel like, has always just been on the wrong side of the street, I think is the English. Yeah, right? Where it's like they get so close, they're almost at the perfect spot, but then suddenly they're not. And I feel like this is one of those series where the exact same thing is happening. I don't think they're playing bad. I think they're playing very well, especially in offense. They're creating a lot. Even their defense isn't that bad. It's just really being torn apart by Polar and his bumps and demos. But it's just never good enough for Totalschaden.
Might not be good enough for them. We do, of course, see Totalschaden joining the lobby, so at least domain issue has been fixed. But you talked about that series as well. not scoring. At least with this series here, they are scoring. It's been fabulous in terms of the quality.
For sure, for sure. And I think that's all due to playstyle. And I really like the fact that with this Superstar League, what we see is really a clash of different playstyles. I feel like every single region has teams that prefer a certain type of playstyle. Because if you look at the likes of RGM, who's also from the Firewall side of things, together with Totalschaden, those are two teams that I feel like in general just go for more passing plays as opposed to other types of teams. And it's really fun to see how that matches up against a JorJaJo who come from the European side of things, where things are more of a mix and match of playstyles.
You can have an argument of Mitch and Matzo, the play style, but Totalschaden and RJM, as you said, from the German region, rival series quality, Rick's Ronde stepping in there too. So it really is a battle against the old guard versus the new. But will the new get better? Game 4 has rejoined comfortably, all 6 players happily sufficient with their equipment. But can they provide the goose already? Polar misses a very clinical ball he needs to get, and Domain slows it down just to tease the English will make again the sweat for, and Polar this time gets it into the corner.
Did you see JorJaJo at the kickoff there then?
Yep.
That looked very interesting, to say the least, very aggressive. For whoever didn't see it, as soon as the kickoff happened, JorJaJo didn't even go for it. He just rushed towards the opponent's side to, I think, grab boost and be ready for the redirect right there, which is interesting because I do feel like if they keep JorJaJo too far upfield, it doesn't allow Polar to go for these bumps and demos, and I think that is how they've created the space so far. So I like JorJaJo just to play a bit more careful, but right now it is JorJaJo who pressured the bump and Jack getting away with the goal.
Well, some things do work. The pass, if you can call it that, from Polar. Going into the middle, as you said, JorJaJo seem to be playing the more Polar-esque role of going for the bump and the physicalities. With a minute gone, Totalschaden needs to score factly 2 to keep their chances alive. The progression here, Group A, is apparently Jack just again going off the wall. Not necessarily the ideal play here, but this time Polar, not necessarily a good clear either, or pass up play, but there's Tigre, shot on target, bumped by Domain. So what I can do, the opposition could do is almost equally as well.
Yeah, Totalschaden finally getting that goal and giving JorJaJo a bit of a taste of their own medicine. Very well done right there from the Totalschaden squad. And just to give a quick recap for whoever just tuned in, this is a very important match to see who goes through. In the Superstar League, Totalschaden currently 2-1. JorJaJo currently 1-2. Will be trying to make it 2-2 for both teams, and that would end up with a very big tie with a lot of teams. But right now we're still in this game 4 in which it's been everyone's game. We haven't even had half of the game yet. It's a lot of bumps and a lot of passing plays too in this series.
Well, JorJaJo or any other team in those situations, each game really does matter. Especially with those tiebreaker scenarios, if you can get it 3-1, 3-0, happy days, 3-2. It's here because you'll be relying on other people's results, and this time JorJaJo will be relying on himself to find a pass in lane, doesn't get a Polar blocked. And it will be Domain, the feint can outflow, he'll drop it all the way back, and apparently Jack, not so much apparently, he just went completely past the ball there as the opposition made him look foolish there, and Polar 50s into it. Oh, go on, Polar. That will do. 2-1.
50s into it and 50s it straight into the goal. Domain, I don't think he should have committed for that ball, and if he did, definitely not the way, and he did right now. He's basically giving away a free goal to Polar right there, and JorJaJo, once again, they seem to be getting the lead every single time, and they'll be looking to make it a 2-goal one right here. Jack with a good 50. JorJaJo with the follow-up. And the 3-1 with JorJaJo. Exactly half a game played.
Here's the potency of the question now. Does Totalschaden have 2 goals within them to tie it back up, Joessi?
I mean, if there's a squad to score 2 goals, it's a Totalschaden one. But I'm very scared with the fact that they need to be more aggressive, and that is going to create a lot of space right there for JorJaJo. Just missing the ball is also going to create a lot of space.
Space is one aspect. Controlling it is the importance of it. Polar failed to do so and evades again the pressure after JorJaJo's weak attacking play there, and apparently Jack, quick shot, Domain does get it, take it right back again into the middle. Polar just passes it to the left hand side of himself, doesn't find anybody. They all decide to retreat back onto the net, and Jack over the Polar, and Joy will just sit there, wait patiently to see what the Germans can offer him to the ball.
But right now it's changing into a ping pong type game, Danny, where both teams are just hitting the ball forward, and it really does favor JorJaJo because it does not create that many opportunities. And just all around very reactive play coming out from Totalschaden. They're not trying to find each other anymore. They're just reacting to the plays that are happening. And I don't think that'll be enough to score 2 goals. Maybe if Macflo finds one here, he does get the cut, but beautiful save by Polar.
Save onto the stat page. It'd be interesting to see how it ends up overall. The average out as Domain could find one. Apparently Jack pinches Polar across field down, and Kneifel has options, catches it, drags it in. Apparently Jack not willing to sandwich effectively the Germans into their final third, but the passing plays we've been talking about, the Germans are faltering, the machine is weakening here, and the efficiency completely gone.
Can they find the oil they need in these last 40 seconds? That was a good opportunity. But all the mid boosts are gone, meaning they cannot keep up this pressure. And JorJaJo, with the control of their own boost, just taking down time here. 30 seconds to go, 2 more goals. And that isn't one either. And now it's kind of looking like an impossible task right here unless they find a goal. Good defense. Basically means that I think this series is over at this point, Danny.
Could be 10 seconds, and oh, that shot by Polar, come on.
Oh,
You could do a little bit better than that, but even with that said and done, the Germans stop once again on the line. England finally beats the Germans. We don't get to say it that often, but they do it this time around. 3-1 on the night.
Such an important win for JorJaJo, getting them back into that 2-2 standing, and now it means that we're gonna have Totalschaden in 2-2, JorJaJo in 2-2, Supermotor suddenly top of the leaderboard. This is anyone's league now, Danny.
Well, anybody league. 2, of course, qualify through. Group B, of course, on Thursday. Be interesting. We'll break that down, of course, on Thursday. But so far, Group A here, there hasn't been a match that really has disappointed. And so far, we've seen 2 excellent games here. Does the third match up? And sadly, Joessi, you won't be able to cast that one. But any cheeky predictions coming up for that?
I mean, WMB looking very strong in the Ice Cactus Weekly, so and looking stronger overall, I think, in this Superstar League. So I'm definitely gonna send it to them. But I'm just waiting for Zulu Chang to come alive. At this point, we haven't seen anything from them yet, and this just has to be their week. Otherwise, I just believe it's never gonna happen.
Well, never going to happen is that the case, but what is definitely happening, of course, the sponsor Nice Characters, Tuesday, Thursdays here at the Superstar League, our sponsor, and they are also doing Wednesdays and Sundays for any team who wants to sign up and have a go. Some of these particular teams are even playing on that one, but we'll take a quick break, but in between then, get something refreshing, because this one should be as good as the last 2. We'll see you on the other side.